Welcome back. It's been a while. I've got over 1,000 subscribers now, which blows my mind, especially since I've not released a video for nearly 3 years now. So I owe it to you guys to pull my finger out and get some new content out there. So what I thought I'd do to kick things off is do a kind of walk around video on the Capri, not this old bus back here. Just an overview of where the car's at right now and the things that I've been working on over the last couple of years. Fairly brief, I hope, and to the point. And then if there's anything you guys want to know in greater detail, just leave me a comment and I'd be happy to do another video. So yeah, that being said, here is a new video at last. And here it is, a 1978 Ford Capri 1.6L. To look at, it's a Mark III. The logbook actually says it's a Mark II because it's right on that 1978 cut line where they stopped making the Mark II and moved on to the Mark III. It was originally oyster gold, still partly is, but it's mostly primer and undercoat. This is something I'm going to get around to sorting out at some point, honestly, but there's still one or two crusty bits here and there that I really want to sort out before I entertain the idea of painting it. Wheels wise, it's actually on the original 5J steel wheels, but they've been banded to 7.5J by Alon's Custom in Scarborough. They did a really nice job. I really like those wheels. Tyres, we're on Toyo R888Rs all round, a really good track day / street tyre. The only downside being you've got to be a little careful in extreme wet conditions, otherwise you might find yourself in a ditch. I think that's it body wise, to tell you the truth. Most of the modifications on this car lie underneath, so let's get to the bit I'm sure most of you want to see first. So under the hood we have the majestic lump of iron that is the 2-litre Pinto. I love this thing. Alright, it may not make huge power, but it's a really tough, reliable old 4-cylinder that does not shy away from a bit of abuse. So this one is basically a stock 2-litre from the head down. It is a 205 block, which people seem to rave about, but I wouldn't get too caught up in that if I were you, unless you were building an all-out beast of a race engine. The head is ported with bigger valves, and the cam is a, now I always get this the wrong way around, it's not an FR31, it's a Kent RL31. Just a really good all-round cam for this spec of engine. It makes good power up top and still retains a bit of punch down low. I had the head skimmed from memory to give me a 43 or 44 cc combustion chamber. Now that with the Felpro head gasket gives me a compression ratio of about 10.5 to 1. Noisy. Induction is taken care of by the glorious twin Weber 45 DCOE carburetors. Great carbs, fantastic noise. They are a little thirsty, I'll be honest. Well, they're a lot thirsty if you're giving it the beans, but nothing the mechanical fuel pump hasn't been able to deal with yet. I'm surprised. I thought I'd end up putting an electric pump on it, but so far so good with the mechanical pump. From there, the fuel's running through the Malpassi fuel pressure regulator and filter combo thing before going on to the carbs. On the exhaust side of things, we have just a cheapo 2-inch mild steel system, Sportex. I think it is. It's nothing to really rave about, but this little combination makes all the right noises. In fact, speaking of which, let's fire it up, because I hate these walk around videos where they don't start the car, so let's address that right now. sounds good. I think it does. Lastly, on the ignition side of things, I have the original Bosch distributor. Now I have been in there and modified the internal weights and springs to give me an advance curve that more suits the tune of this engine. It is still on points, by the way, because I refuse to fit an electronic ignition kit. Don't ask me why, I just like points. It has got an Omex rev limiter installed though, which I think I've set to around 6800 RPM. It's great. Again, not huge power, but really simple, reliable stuff. The gearbox is the original Type 3 4-speed gearbox that came with the car, and I've become quite attached to this little gearbox, if I'm honest, so no comments saying stick a 5-speed in it, because it's not going to happen. I removed the box last year, gave it a clean up, serviced it, new gaskets, new seals, replaced the fluid as well while I was at it. To make the Type 3 work with the 2 litre, I had to use the smaller flywheel off the 1.6 engine. So to make up for that, it's got an AP clutch and uprated pressure plate, which to date has had absolutely no problems dealing with the extra power and torque that this engine's putting out. It's just a really nice gearbox, good ratios, really nice shift. You know, the Type 9 in comparison feels more like a spoon in a bowl of custard. So standard prop, and then axle wise it's running the English axle, which is quite an uncommon axle to find under a Capri. It's more often found under your Mark 1 and Mark 2 Escorts. It's got a 3.9 ring and pinion and a 3J plate style LSD, and that LSD lets me run the beefier half shafts from the Atlas axle, the Atlas being the axle more commonly found under the Capri. The LSD has been quite a recent modification, and what a difference it makes, especially on track. Today it's got to be one of the best modifications I've made to this car. I think that pretty much does it for the drivetrain. Let's move on. Suspension wise, it's been lowered 2-inch all round. It's got 2-inch drop springs on the front, it's got 2-inch lowering blocks at the rear, it's got gas adjustable inserts in the original front struts and Coney adjustable shock absorbers on the rear. Rear springs wise, it's got 2.8 single leaf springs on the back, and it's also got a homemade axle location, triangulation, A-frame kit, whatever you want to call it, on there as well. Oh, and speaking of 2.8 bits, it's got the beefier 2.8 anti-roll bar at the front as well. All the shocks are currently set to their softest setting, and it's still pretty damn firm, to be honest. Not something I'd want to daily drive, but on the track it gets the job done, and for what is essentially old technology, feels surprisingly well balanced. It's a fun car to drive. Brakes wise, it's pretty straightforward because it's all standard equipment, standard master cylinder, standard servo, standard drums on the back. It has got a vented disc setup from a 2.8 Capri on the front. It was originally a solid disc car, but one trip to the track was all I needed to convince me that solid discs were not up to the job. It's still not brilliant, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, it's way better than it was, but there's still room for improvement here, whether it's 4-pot calipers or something in the future. I haven't really planned it yet. What else have we got? Oh, all flexible lines are braided, and it's got Mintex 1144 pads at the front here, which I think are better than the EBC pads I was running before. Oh. So finally, let's move on to the interior. Something I've always really liked about this car, the base model interior, because you just don't see them anymore. The 3-pod dash, no center console, no sunroof, thank God. I did begrudgingly remove the front seats last year to fit these Corbeau Forzas, because sadly the originals were neither supportive nor safe when it came to track days and things like that, especially with the lack of headrest. So
Yeah, they went. The bucket seats have gone in with the Willans 4-point harnesses, and behind the seats here it's all stripped out, and it's got a 4-point roll cage back there as well, or half cage, whatever you want to call it. Dash wise, it's in really good shape. These tend to crack with age, but this one's mint. The fan sign that people have pointed out in the past is because the rear demister switch now operates an electric fan in front of the radiator, so that there is to remind me if I'm stuck in traffic or something, not to forget to switch that on. Other non-standard stuff, there's the 2 gauges down there. I've got my tachometer and oil pressure gauge. Oh, and there's the Omex controller box in the glove box there. Oh, and speaking of which, that's the Clubman edition, which came with that funny launch button thing, which I've mounted right where the choke cable used to come out. To be honest, it's a total waste of time. I never use it. So I think that about covers it. I've probably missed something along the way here, but I've had this car about 12 years now, and it's difficult to remember everything that's been done to it. Easy car to work on, real good fun to drive. I really like that car. So yeah, if there's anything you guys want me to go over in more detail, leave a comment below and I'll make another video. So cheers, and I'll see you next time.